All right, guys. Hope everything's going well for you guys. Hope you had a good weekend. We did. We had a nice Jersey scrimmage. That was, a tight scrimmage. It actually probably ended up in a tie. A little messy at the end, but competitive. Again, kind of went back and forth. I'll just talk about some of the guys that I thought had really good scrimmages. Starting with Kenny Pickett, I thought Kenny, had a nice day overall. He maybe got 30 snaps. So we didn't have a ton of snaps with him. We got him out early. Wanted to see what the backups did, but Kenny's playing really good, really great in the pocket. Just playing at a high level right now, I think. Two receivers that really stood out to me, Jordan Addison, of course. The one thing that stood out is he had a catch at one point and broke about 3 tackles and got a lot of yards after the catch. And that's something a year ago that I didn't see out of him. So he's a lot stronger. Something that I think he needs to get is the yak after the catch. Taysir Mack again had a nice ball game as well. Up front, one of the guys that stood out to me was Marcus Minor. Really played a nice ball game, he was physical and the best he's looked since he's been here, and again had a winning performance. And then Izzy Anaconda had a nice day as well. He had one of those runs that I think you guys saw last spring practice too. He had one of those that popped through and nobody could catch him. So and he's doing a great job in protection as well. He did have one kind of bad block, but that's a lot less than he's had in the past. And then defensively, probably the beast up front was Devin Danielson, doing some great things up front. He really took over inside. He looks like our best D tackle at this point after really 9 or 10 practices. At linebacker, Phil Campbell and John Patricia continue to do some good things. In the back end, obviously looking for two safeties, and Devonshire and Judson Tailender, probably looked as good as you're going to look back there. And then I thought the corner that really stood out, overall was AJ Woods. Did some nice things. So that's those guys, and probably I always forget about the specialists. But Kirk didn't have his best day, but Kirk has been playing great up until that point. We walk into Hines and you want to see him punt the best he could punt. But he had been great for 8 practices, really working on some details, and didn't have a great day in the scrimmage, but was good. Then we've got a 2-way battle, which I can't believe you guys haven't asked, with Kessman being gone. It's like, what do the field goals and extra points look like? But Sam Scarton and Ben Sauls have done a nice job. It's a heated race right now. As heated as any competition we have on the field right now. It's like we're getting them about exactly the same reps from the proper hash and putting pressure on them. They've had some pressure kicks they've had to make. So it'll be interesting in the spring game. It'll be interesting, number one, to see who gets drafted at the kicker position, because I think it's a wash right now. But we're going to find out who's productive in the spring game. The spring game might be the biggest for the kickers out of any position out there. So questions?
You mentioned Abonaconda, and I mean, just kind of looking at the running game overall, what did you see when you went back and looked this offseason at what worked or what didn't work, I guess, with the running game last year?
Yeah, well, I think we fixed it, Chris, in our open week, just kind of, nailed down, hey, what do we do well? What do you not do well? And again, the first thing comes down to personnel. I mean, you don't have a tight end. I mean, Lucas Kroll, did I mention Lucas? I mean, Lucas is a beast right now. I mean, Lucas is playing like first round material right now. Knock on a lot of wood here. That dude is playing really good. Had another great day today that you look at him and you're like, you might want to put him on the shelf over there, not practicing much more. If he keeps practicing like he does, you might not see much of him on the spring game on the 24th because I just want to make sure he's safe and healthy. But he's really playing at a high level. But you need some tight ends to run it. I mean, Gavin Bartholomew is probably the most physical tight end we have. And Lucas is a lot more physical than he was a year ago, and he's a lot healthier than he was a year ago. Not only with the injury he sustained during the season, but he came in with a shoulder, so we knew that was an issue, and he wasn't as strong as he needed to be. But so the tight end helps you first of all. When you don't have a tight end, then you got to you can't just put 11 guys in there trying to block it. So we kind of molded our offense to what we had, and then just try to branch off that. Didn't try to do something that we aren't. And I think that was the key thing. And we've continued to do that through the offseason here is work off of what we're good at and don't try to do things we're not good at. So I think it's just really play selection and getting good at something you're doing offensively.
it's one of those, I mean, I don't want to say cliche, but it's a thing you always say in football. You got to be able to do both. You got to have balance in your offense and all that. For your offense specifically, how important is it to find more balance, get an effective running game this year to try and get, I mean, the point totals up?
It's really important. I mean, and especially when you get down the red zone, you can't stretch them down the field. Everybody's sitting on your routes, and there's no deep routes there. So it's important, especially in the red zone. And we'll continue to work the red zone and get better running the football. But, we're running the ball better right now than we did all last spring. I won't give you the stats and the numbers and all that as far as what it was, but the last 2 games, I've been happy with the offense stopping the run, not as happy with the defense stopping the run. So, take that for what it's worth. But we're running the ball better. And, again, but I think we ran the ball better against Florida State. I think we ran the ball better against Georgia Tech. And, I forget who the other team was. 3 out of the 4 last games, I thought we ran the ball a lot better than we had earlier in the season.
How much of that is a testament to how the offensive line is doing at run blocking so far this spring? Both Carter and Jake had said when we talked to them that was one thing they both thought that the offensive line needed to improve on based on last year was the run blocking.
Yeah, I mean, anytime if you're running the ball, the offensive line, plays a part in that for sure. But so do the tight ends and so do the running backs making the right reads. So I think it's a little bit of both. And I'll tell you another thing. Everybody talks about the receivers, or excuse me, the O-line blocking, but it also counts when the receivers are blocking. So I think the receivers are doing a great job of going downfield and blocking. I think they've learned some things in the last, 12 months, and we're blocking better down the field, I think.
You have a lot of depth on your offensive line, at least guys who played before. Is Carter Warren being pushed for that left tackle job?
There's competition. I think they're all pushing each other. Last week, I think, Carter Warren's been at the left tackle, and we moved him over to starting right tackle. But, it's really a 3-man race right now with Gonsalves and Carter and Gabe. And right now I'd say, Gabe and Carter are winning the battle. But, Matt is certainly pushing them.
Pat, how'd you guys structure the scrimmage? Was it 1s against 2s, or you mix it up?
We start off, we did some punt. Really, the special teams that we focused on were field goal and punt, and obviously our punt return team. So those are the 3 field goal or 3 special teams that we focused on. This weekend, we'll work on kickoff return, and focus on that at Hines. The first series was 1 offense versus 2 defense, and then we went 2 defense against the 1 offense. And then after that, it was 1s on 1s and 2s on 2s and 3s on 3s. So I would say a majority of it was 155 play scrimmage. I would say a majority of it was, again, it was 1 series. It's probably 6 plays, maybe 6 to 8 plays, 1s on 2s. And that's always competitive because the 2s always want to go against the 1s and don't get to do it very often. Sometimes you get surprised there. You
said Kenny got 30 snaps with Davis and Joey and Nick. And what did you see out of those guys?
It's a good question. I don't want to tell you. Again, you hate to evaluate it all on one day, but we saw good things out of all of them, and you saw bad things out of all of them. We're still fighting to find out who that guy is. I thought Joey did some nice things, made some nice plays. He did throw 1 pick, but it was a ball that hit a receiver in the hands. It was a tip and a pick, which was, I think it was a pick 6. But you don't put that on Joey, but he ends up getting that in the stat column. But it was a perfect throw. And then Davis had an interception as well in a 2-minute at the end of the game. That was a little overthrown. So, but Davis did some great things earlier in the scrimmage. So, day by day, it's their first time coming in Hines this year. And I always say when the lights go on, we're going to find out what they got. But we got, it's been a back and forth. I think Davis and Joey and Nick Patty's done some good things as well. To me, I think he's probably the next guy, trying to work it up, and he's done some nice things. But and I tell you, Nate Yarnell does some nice things as well. And again, he's working with the 3s, so he doesn't have the weapons out wide or maybe in the backfield, but he does a heck of a job, commanding the huddle. I know that. When you guys did 2s versus 1s with the offense against the number 1 defense, was it Joey who started out there? Was it Davis? Did you split those reps? How are you guys handling that right now? We started off. Kenny was in there with the 1s. I mean, Kenny started off with the 1s, and then as soon as we saw enough, we pulled him out. We actually started off with the, kind of a field goal period. So it was we always work a scrimmage into a 3rd down. It might be 3rd and 7 at the plus 21-yard line. And regardless if they get it or not, then the kicker's got to go run on the field and kick from that point. So we kind of start off that way, just kind of a 3rd down and kick it period, just to get the kickers used to running on the field and kind of working the sub there. I think it's different than any other field goal period.
I think this is the 3rd straight week you've kind of brought up Taysir Mack. What's kind of different about him right now than maybe during the season?
Well, first of all, he's healthy. I mean, he's been banged up in the past. Knock on some more wood, but we just finished 10 practices. He hasn't missed a down. He's played every snap, and we do a thing that's called 15 of 15, which they'll get a nice pullover with their name on it. With a 15 of 15 on means they got through 15 practices, and it's not hard to make every one of them. And I would say there's probably 20 guys that are out already that haven't got in the 10 so far that we just finished today. But knock on wood that he gets through 15. It's hard to get better when you don't practice, but he had a nice play again today outside. He's just playing at a high level right now. He's got a great attitude, and I'm really happy with where he is.
Pat, you mentioned working on special teams. This year you have more guys than you usually do. I think combination of more early enrollees and some of your fifth-year guys. Does that allow you to do more stuff with teams or maybe more stuff talking about having a third team in some places than you would in most springs?
Yeah, it sure does. Usually in the spring, we're going ones and twos, okay? Because of the mid-year enrollees and we got another 24 extra guys out there with 12 super seniors, let's just say 12 or 13, whatever we got, and then 12 incoming freshmen. We've been going a lot of ones and twos and threes. I mean, matter of fact, for 10 days, it's been ones, twos, and threes almost every day. So our threes are getting a developmental time for sure, which is going to make them a lot better in the end.
Anybody maybe on that third team that's showing some stuff on special teams, maybe on a coverage unit or something like that?
We don't do much on special teams as far as we don't do much on special teams as far as three teams. Special teams usually ones and twos, but offense, defense will go ones and twos and threes. But you're asking third, it's special teams for what position?
Like one of those guys that like is a third teamer on the roster, but maybe is a one or a two on special teams.
There's a lot of those guys, and it's too early to tell. It's way too early to tell. But PJ O'Brien is a guy that I would say might be a third team safety right now. And again, he can easily move into a second team spot. But PJ is a guy that I could see playing because he's got a lot of confidence. Just kind of looking through here. I mean, Kai Wright's done a lot of good things as well. I mean, he might be a third teamer right now, but he's going to play on special teams and help us out a lot. But there's nothing that stands out. Will Gibson's another guy that's come on the last couple of days. I think he had a decent day today. Start off with a lot of mental errors, and he's really cleaned it up and become a playmaker for us as well. So he can help us on special teams.
Pat, going back.
Maybe Gavin Thomas as well is another guy. Gavin Thompson, might be another guy that I throw on that list.
Pat, going back to Tayseer real quick. I mean, he's a guy who had 60 plus catches for you in 2019. How important is it for the offense, for Kenny, and for even Jordan, with the doubles that he was starting to get last season, to have a healthy Tayseer, productive next season and taking some of that pressure off the other wide receivers and Kenny and Jordan?
It's important. Anytime you got more than one go-to guy, and I think Kenny feels comfortable throwing to Tayseer, he always has. And I'm telling you, then you got Jordan on the other side, and then you got, Lucas. I mean, it's going to be, it's a good problem to have. I can tell you that.
Between Wendell Davis and Chase Pine, a middle linebacker, who has an edge right now?
I'd say it's, right now, I can't really tell you. I'd say it's a tie right now at that spot, right? I think there's a lot of ball to be played still, one scrimmage in. I couldn't tell you who was better than the other, and Chase has played a little bit of the outside backer as well, but Chase is playing well and Wendell's playing well. They've got their strengths and weaknesses that we've got to fix and get better at. Nobody's perfect, and that's what we're looking for.
Pat, do you expect that when Servassier gets back in the mix, in fall camp, that you expect to use him more in the middle or sticking with on the outside?
I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, he's a smart kid that can play anything, and we're going to plug him in and see what he does. I mean, I know he's going to be a heck of a lot better than he was last year. I think it depends on, where we are, who's in there, and who he can beat out. But he could be at Mike, could be at Money, could be at Star.
Pat,
he can play them all, I think.
Sorry. Pat, at cornerback, what have you been seeing over the last few practices? I know that you were excited by some of the guys that stepped up in the practices when you guys got back off of the break. But who do you see taking kind of the lead at that position, starting at your outside cornerback spots?
Yeah, right now, like I said, I think AJ Woods is playing well. And, I think Damari Mathis is playing okay. I've got a higher standard for Damari. To me, he's not where he was last. You guys hear that noise? Is that you, EJ?
Not me, but I will check on it.
That's a building alert, coach, but it's okay. It'll come off.
Come on, LaSala.
I know.
As long as there's no bomb in the Durats, I'm good. But where the heck were we? What were we talking about? Corners. Okay, so Damari, I've got a higher standard for him, so he's not where I want him to be yet. But I know he'll get there. It's just a matter of time. I think anytime you sit out for a year, it's hard coming back. It's not easy, and he's just trying to get in football shape. He's staying around for a year, watching and so he's just starting in to get in the groove. And I hope by practice 15 that he's feeling good there. And then Marquez Williams is playing well. I think he had a better scrimmage this past scrimmage than he did the day before or the scrimmage before. So I think he's been really solid as well. Javante Royal's getting better. Let's think of who else we got there. That's about it, really, right there. That's who I like.
You mentioned guards, Marcus Minor a minute ago. Is he a left guard or right guard? And what about Jake Cradle? Is he settling in too as a guard?
Yeah, Marcus is playing guard. He's doing a great job at guard. I don't know if a right guard matters. What's right guard? What does it matter? Jerry, tell me. Come on, man.
I like to be specific.
He's playing left guard right now for you. And Cradle's doing a nice job as well at the other guard position, which would be the right guard.
Any final questions today?
Yeah, Pat, it looks like they're gonna open recruiting visits here the 1st of June. I know you guys have some guys they're starting to make plans. What is that? Obviously, that's important to the lifeblood of your program, but just specifically, what are you looking forward to about getting some recruits back on campus?
You know what? The best thing about it is, maybe the country's starting to open up a little bit. So I think that's the first positive is if we're starting to do that, then I think everybody's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, not real fired up on that J&J, getting shut down. That's going to slow things down a little bit. But I think the first thing is about what the country is all about. We obviously would like to recruit and get kids on campus. We'll find a way to get it done, regardless. But it'll be exciting to get kids back on campus, have recruits in my office and talk to them and really have a face-to-face relationship. So many things about recruiting are about relationships that, we didn't really have a year ago. And it's just amazing the relationships we got with our freshmen that are here right now. Can't wait to get the new ones on campus. And then in June to be able to open it up, which today's the 13th. And I think in 2 days, we're going to make some votes there. We'll find out if we, it seems like the cases are rising everywhere. So, a month ago, everybody thought June for sure. Who knows? I mean, they're going to vote on it tomorrow or 2 days, I guess, on the 15th. So we'll know for sure. But we hope we can bring them on campus. We hope we can do it in a safe way. And we want to make sure, we're not negligent on our end. We want to make sure everybody's healthy and good there.